already pronounced the name of Joan Sommers, Dr. Joan Sommers. She has been here at the Conservatory, one of the pillars of the Conservatory music, and a great, great lady, someone that is really, she got, I think, the fame, world fame, because for her last 90th birthday, she came here and she got about 85 accordionists, accordion players from all over the world. They came here to Kansas City, UMKC, and she got also a choir of 40 singers. I want to have here the Accordion Ensemble because I think it's important, and especially for Dr. Sommers, because she deserves it. She deserves it because, first of all, accordion is one of the very important instruments all over the world, in the world. So I think I played accordion, yes. But the point is that, you know, Italian immigrant going from Italy to France, and when you are Italian, either you play soccer, or you sing opera, or you play accordion. So that's the idea. Now I would like to hear, and I told you this morning I was happy. You know why? Because I was listening to Puccini, Turandot. Hey, by the way, Turandot, we're going to have Turandot here at the Kaufman Center on May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Okay, so don't miss it. So I was listening to Nessun Dorma this morning, and that's great. When you hear Nessun Dorma, and you think that life is great, and you know what? Life will give you what you give. You give it. If you don't give anything, it will not give you anything. So I think now I'm going to invite Joan Sommers and her musicians to come here to the podium, and she is going to lecture, and she's going to talk about all her experience, and we also have some concert. Thank you very much.
I don't know if you've ever seen this photo in the university booklet that comes out every once in a while. Sometimes they pick like 50 things that are wonderful about UMKC.
John, can you go to the microphone?
I'll go over there in just a minute. And this one was number 23. But anyway, I want you to know that this picture it was taken when we were up there. So after a while, if you want to come look, I'm going to put it right here.
Okay.
It's a beautiful photo, and
Don't trip over the...
when I was asked to talk today, I said, yes, I'll do that, because I like to talk about UMKC, and I like to talk about our accordion programs. But, well, this room, of course, brings back so many memories. So many memories. The Conservatory and my group was the very first group that gave a concert in this room. And many times we had a full house, and sometimes, one time at least, we had a full house at 2 o'clock. I mean, the room was huge, you know, with all those chairs, and we were up there. And that afternoon, we did the same program, and we had another full house. And that was wonderful that they came out and supported all the accordion players in town. At that time, we had many accordion players all over the United States. And then along came guitars. And everybody wanted to play the guitar. And they were much less expensive than accordions. So we had a lot of guitar players and fewer accordion players. But all the time that that was happening, we kept a great program going here at UMKC. So anyway, I agreed to talk, but then I said, could we possibly bring some of the people in my group and we could play for you? And I'm happy that whoever was the first person to say yes. Anyway, thank you very much, because we're glad to be here. And we're going to play a couple of pieces for you, and then I can talk a little bit and tell you about my experiences at UMKC, across the way there in the Conservatory, and in this room, of course, especially, and all over the campus. I quit counting the number of places where I taught, but at one time, several years ago, I had been in 13 different spots to teach in. And one of them, we lasted 1 week, and the dean said, oh, you can't be in here, the ceilings are low, it's horrible. And they moved us to another. So, you know, we've been all over the place. And we're going to start our program with a piece called Mesmerized. It's by Stas Vanglevsky, and Stas Vanglevsky is a Moldavian, really, but he had his studies in Russia. He was told by his Russian professor to come here and study accordion with us to finish a master's degree. We didn't have any money. We just didn't have enough money to pay a scholarship. So I told him, you know, Stas, go back to Moscow and finish that master's degree and then come back to the USA, and that's what he did. But anyway, I've encouraged him to not only continue performing, but to continue writing music. And this is one of the pieces that he has written for us. This next piece is built around a Russian folk song, Myrna. And it was written by an Italian. And I thought when we got it, I'd write to him and see if he knew anything about the accordion. And it turned out that he's a professor in one of the universities or conservatories in Italy, and he had read about us and what we do, and commented on the wonderful program and our expertise, really. He was so complimentary. And later on then, he sent a duet piece for accordion and flute. So now we've got students playing that. Or not students, but former students. Anyway, this next piece is sort of a variation on Myrna. We have another piece we'll play, and then I'll talk a little bit.
Good.
This one you'll know, Granada. It's a Spanish, wonderful Spanish piece by Agustin Lara, his most famous piece, of course. And usually you hear a trumpet player doing something and they go to a higher note and they hold it, you know, and the conductor's standing there waiting for this trumpet player to either pass out or quit playing on that high note. So anyway, we don't have a trumpet player. We do normally have percussionists, and we don't keep them all the time with us because they're expensive, even when they're students. So you can just imagine castanets on this and all kinds of percussion instruments. Professor Imperial, I told you about the big 90th birthday that they had for me last summer. My birthday is really in February, but I had several birthday parties all over every place, and it was wonderful. But I am 91 now, so. I've been really active in every organization that I could be in, American-wise and also international. And as a result of that, I've made lots of friends from many different countries, and it spurred really from the world competitions that they have every year in a different country. And several of our UMKC students had won the right in the United States to represent the USA in those world competitions. We haven't had a first place, but we've had seconds and thirds, and I think the lowest was maybe a seventh out of a lot of contestants. And they always have made a good impression upon everybody. Unfortunately today, we don't have that many people playing accordion, and of course we don't have our program here at UMKC anymore. But anyway, that's how I got into those international ones. I was chosen in 1955 and in 1956 to represent the United States. I certainly didn't win, but it made me know that I wanted to teach the accordion, and I wanted to grow a big audience that the accordion deserves. We've had lots and lots of improvements in the instruments, all those bass chords on the left hand. Now we have single notes there. You can just play the same thing there that you can play here. And a lot of people are playing buttons on both sides. So the accordion's going through changes constantly. I began teaching at the Conservatory in the spring of 1961. And in the spring, I was just teaching the continuing education people, and I had about 100 students that I saw each week, because I taught a lot of classes and had ensembles. And after that summer, then we had college majors for the first time in the accordion. And we started with 3 of them, and one of them got drafted, so he had to drop out, but we had 2 remaining. And from that initial enrollment, every year we grew. We had many, many more people come. I think probably the most majors with the accordion that I had at one time, and the number was 27, something like that. But we've always had an accordion orchestra. And the accordion orchestra is one of those town and gown things, you know, where we have the people at school, but we also have a lot of people from the community. And they supported us. They came to our concerts and helped us in many ways. So even though we don't have that support today, it'll come back. We know that's different. Because we had so many people competing in various competitions, it looked good for UMKC, and people would apply to come to school here. One of the things that we tried to do, and did very successfully and lots of fun, the USO tours. And we could have 15 people, including me. I didn't conduct, I played. We sat around like this. We had 15 people, accordionists, one really good-looking singer, female, and a bass player, and a guitarist, and a drummer. And we could feature them in solos. Anyway, we had a program of about an hour with costume changes without ever having stopped the music. We kept the music going on the stage, but they went backstage and changed into a different dress or something. They also took some choir. They also had to have a little bit of singing ability because we like to feature them on little song and dance things. And of course, dance meant dance. You know, they had to learn how to dance. So we had choreographers for the dance division teach our girls some routines. So we had a wonderful program. Every time we played a program, of course, you always have a liaison officer there who writes up a review on you. And that goes into international headquarters in New York City. And if they liked you and you happen to apply again 2 years later, they look up on you a little bit more favorably, I suspect. Anyway, our first tour was in Greenland and all around some of the Canadian places too on that East Coast. And that was in '67. In '69, we had a tour to Germany. And we played in every military base you can imagine. I mean, every military base. We traveled by, I don't know if we were in helicopters then. We were in helicopters in Greenland several times and other times later. But we had those buses, plain old school buses, you know, that the military used, no air conditioning. And we'd go out and we played a show every single night. On holidays, we could play 2 shows a day. And then we had a day off. That was a 10-week program. And we did get good reviews. The next time that we could try was 1971. And, well, I couldn't go that year. I had a baby, my one and only child. And so we didn't try out that year. But the next 2 years after that, we did. And we won again, and that was the tour that beat every tour you could have, and that was the Pacific area. We went to so many countries you cannot believe. You know, USO takes care of not only the military men and women, they take care of military families too. And so sometimes we had families, we'd play for families at a different sort of place than maybe you played for the officers or the whatever, you know, we played for that day. And anyway, it was a wonderful thing for us to get to do. And we really had good music. We played a few classical pieces. We played some show tunes, and we played, whatever people might like. And we got wonderful reviews. The other thing is that we had a lot of people from different states that were studying at UMKC. Not just Missouri and Kansas, but they were from every place in the United States. And even Canada a couple of times. So that was nice. We were on a base and we could announce the names of these people and what state they were from. Because then our audience members could come up and talk to them. And that was one of the reasons why, you know, UMKC was really valuable, because we had so many from different cities and states. I don't know how many countries the group has been on, various, but I've been at last count in 56 countries. And some of them I've been several times. Now that didn't happen because I made a lot of money, did it? That didn't happen. But I got enough support that I could go to those things. And in fact, at the end of May this year, I'm going to Innsbruck, Austria, and I'll be adjudicating a world music competition there for a few days. So that'll be kind of neat. I've always tried and hoped that my graduate students, when they got out of here, that they would not give up the business of music, not the business of the accordion, but the business of music. There's so many things you can do in the world of music to make a living or have some fun playing, volunteering or whatever, but you just have to seek them out. It's up to you to do that. Anyway, we've been good about that in our group. One of our graduates hadn't really graduated too long before he was elected president of a big American group. He was from New Zealand. He came here directly out of high school, and after 4 years, he went to France and studied for 1 year. But all this time, he's been representing our instrument in Kansas City, really, because, you know, New Zealand is kind of out there in that ocean. And he could talk about all these people that he's made friends with in Kansas City, Missouri, and the wonderful people that we have in this area. So those of us who have been with UMKC a long time, you know, we can feel proud about that. There are other students too who have held positions in various things. Some of them teach, some of them they go on to be an attorney, and they find out, oh, they'd like to be in music again, and then they find out they can't make kind of the money they'd like to spend, so they go back to the lawyer business a little bit. And so we've had all kinds of experiences in our group. Anyway, when I retired in 2000, there were 6 of us at the Conservatory that retired that year. And I don't know what some of them did, but I know what I did. I asked the dean, could I please have a place to rehearse? And they said yes. They didn't say how big the room or how small the room or where it would be maybe, but they promised I could have my Thursday night rehearsals. So that's what we've been doing all these years since 2000. Well, I was on faculty until 2002 because I had some students here from overseas, especially, who came to study with me, and they had to give recitals. So once those were over, then I was out, you know, so I couldn't get new students or anything. We're going to have a couple of concerts with this group in, is it May? June 28 and June 29. We'll have some posters around, I'm sure. Anyway, I thank you, sir. Professor Imperiale, he has come to several, I don't know how many, but several concerts over the years over in that building. And so when he came up to me after we had the 90th birthday party here last July, I said, sure, I'll talk, but I'd like to bring some students and play some music. So maybe, I'm a little over time maybe now, but can we play one more piece for them, please? Let's do that. And we will do, okay? Thank you very much for asking us to play.
Thank you, Dr. Sommers, for this beautiful music and this kind of ensemble for the UMKC Accordion Community Ensemble. That's beautiful, that's great. It's, you see that we are very far away from Lawrence Welk. And that's great because there is an evolution even in the accordion, and I'm so pleased to bring here to you this kind of new way or new fashion to play accordion, and I'm very, very proud of that. Thank you very much. And again, well, I think we are in the good times, and I just want to thank you for joining us, and I hope that we are going to be in the great moment. And don't forget, please, that if you want to be members of the UMKC, just you can go to our website, or you can talk to our friend Jacob. He's going to be here just to help you. Thank you very much, and I see you next time. Thank you.